Hello and welcome to another episode of my Productivity Mastery series. And today I want to introduce you to the weekly planning matrix. Now, what is the weekly planning matrix? Well, basically it's been inspired by the Eisenhower matrix in that we have 4 squares in the grid. Now, the reason why I've done this is because one of the things that I've noticed a lot amongst people who want to become better organized and more productive is that most people are not consistently doing a weekly planning session. Now, when you're not consistently doing a weekly planning session, if you're even not doing one at all, what you're essentially doing is collecting data and doing nothing with it. Or at the very least, you're just reacting all the time to all the stuff that's coming to you. Now, this makes any kind of task manager very, very harmful to your overall productivity. It's also going to make you very anxious and stressed because rather than having a strategy or a plan of how you're going to deal with all these tasks that you've collected, all this data or information, you're essentially just going through a long list of stuff trying to decide what needs to be done next, and everything is going to look urgent and they're going to cherry pick the easy ones just to be able to reduce the list. There's no organization, there's no structure to it, there's no form in what you are doing, there's no logic in what you're doing. Doing a weekly planning session removes all that. It gives you that 30 to 40 minutes a week where you can just step back and just make decisions on what really is important and when you're going to do it. And how does the weekly planning matrix come into this? Well, essentially the weekly planning matrix is based just 4 boxes. The top left-hand box is for your core work, the work that you are actually employed to do. Now, if you have never decided or sat down and figured out what your core work is, I can give you a clue to this. It's usually in your job title. If you're a truck driver, your core work is to drive goods from A to B. So any activity that involves driving from A to B to deliver goods, then you're doing your core work. Filling out paperwork and doing admin is not your core work. It needs to be done, but it isn't the core work. Equally, a salesperson is employed to sell. So any activity that risks a sale happening is your core work. Sitting in sales meetings with your sales team or sales manager is not your core work. Filling out your expenses report is not your core work. It's work you still need to do, but it is never going to be a priority over talking to a customer, persuading a potential client to become a customer. So that's your core work. Now you need to step back and list out what that core work is each week. I know as a content creator, I need to create 6 pieces of content each week. That's my core work. I'm a content creator, if you like. Now, up on the top right is your projects and issues section. Now, this is where you put any projects that need your attention next week. This doesn't mean you put all your projects there. Some projects are moving fast, some projects are dormant, some projects are very slow moving and don't really need a lot of attention on a week-to-week basis. Those go in there. Usually you'll find 3 or 4 projects that you probably need to spend some time on next week. Issues means those things that you're worried about, things that do need your attention, urgencies that come up in the previous week and you need to apply some time to in order to fix them. So those are issues, problems, whatever you want to call them, they need to go in that box too. Down in the bottom left-hand side is for your personal and areas of focus things. So just to give you an example, with my personal thing this week, I've been neglecting washing my car because we've had a lot of snow. It's just been not particularly great conditions on the road. So I've left off washing the car, but I know because of the snow, there's been a lot of salt around. So I did need to get the car washed. So that was something I wrote down on my list because I need to find time for doing that. That's a 1 hour, 90 minutes if I'm doing a full vacuum out as well. So I need to set aside time for that. and anything else in your personal life or your areas of focus that you want to get going. Now, I've been a little bit neglecting my exercise and health over the last 3 or 4, well, probably 6 weeks, because I've just been having a lot of things to get done. My fault, no excuses. I need to get that back on track very quickly, and so I've added that to my weekly planning session, weekly planning matrix for this week. Now, down in the bottom right-hand corner is something I call the radar. Now, the radar is something that's really difficult to explain in words, but in my mind, I know exactly what it means. Essentially, your radar, imagine that you've got a big radar screen in front of you, and all the little green lights that are lit up are all things that's going on in your life. Now, you're not going to be able to pay attention to all of them because we're talking hundreds of things going on in an individual's life. This is for all the things that you think, well, I need to keep an eye on that. I need to watch that, see what's going to happen. It could also be for things that you're waiting for. Now, be careful with waiting for items, because a waiting for item is an incompleted task. It doesn't mean I send an email to somebody and think the task has been completed. You know, if I'm sending an email to Sarah asking her to send me a presentation file, the task itself is to actually get the presentation. It isn't to send an email to Sarah. So you've got to be a little bit careful in how you define what a waiting for task is. But it's also like, I am waiting for a couple of things to come through that I've bought online. They're running a bit late, so I want to keep an eye on that. That will go on my radar section. Now, once you've completed your weekly planning matrix, now you can take that data and you can move it to your calendar or your task manager. Now, the core work area, that's in the top left-hand side, should be fixed. It doesn't change on a week-to-week basis. So that, for me, is already fixed in my calendar. The time to do it is already fixed in my calendar. The tasks are also in my task manager. They repeat every week. The projects are new. So when am I going to work on those projects? You know, if I put out, I need to work on these 10 projects, and yet I've only got 4 spare hours next week, it's not going to happen. I'm broken already. So I've got to get realistic about what does need my attention. It's forcing me to prioritize those projects. Equally in my personal life, you know, it's there. If my wife is away all week, which she's been for a large part of this week, she's been away, you know, there's no point in me having 15 tasks related to my wife, because I'm only going to be seeing her for like 3 days this week. So, you know, I've got to be realistic on what's possible. There's no point in building a system that's broken before you even get started. Get real about what is possible and what is not possible. Remember, you've only got 166 hours a week, and most of that is going to be spent sleeping and perhaps, depending on your job, in meetings. So realistically, what can you get done in the time available? Which is why it's important to have your calendar open and your task manager. So there's a brief overview on what the weekly planning matrix is. I urge you to set something up in your notes app where you can just consistently come back to this every week. It's going to ground you. It's going to put you in control of your time. You know, to do this, it'll take you no more than 10-15 minutes each week. The next, you know, the other 5-10 minutes is just transferring that data that you've done something with into where it should be, either your calendar or your task manager. So I hope that's helped. I hope you found this useful. Thank you so much for watching this video, and it just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week. Hello, thank you very much for watching my videos. Now I have something exciting to tell you about. Recently I have developed a brand new time management system. It's a system designed to manage your time in the 21st century. The world has changed a lot over the last 20 years. In fact, it's actually changed a lot this year. And what we need now is a system, a time management system that is very easy to use, easy to maintain, so that you can spend more of your time doing the work. And that's what the time sector system is all about. It's going to change your whole belief system about the way a time management system should work, because this focuses on when you are going to do the task. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter how motivated, inspired, or how urgent something is. If you don't have time to do it, it is never going to get done. And that's what this system is built around, getting your work done so you can spend more of your time doing the things that you want to do. I hope you join me in this course. The full details of the course are in the show notes below, so please join me, and thank you very much for watching this brief video.